rally over there to get numbers like that, and a pro-Irish rally in Ireland, you know, has, I mean, it's not bad numbers, but, you know, the people sitting on their couch today who, you know, chose not to come out for, I don't know, recreational reasons, have questions to ask themselves. But 1 second, I'm just gonna bring this up. I'm taller than what I think, you know. I'm laughing, you, will ya? But you know, as I said, alright, that's a pro-Palestinian rally over there, right? And they're screaming at us as if, you know, we're some kind of a pro-Israel group here, right? I don't see any Israeli flags here. I don't want to see any Israeli flags here. All I want to see here, all I want to see here are tricolours and smiling faces. That's it. But what do we know about what happened last week? What do we know about the alleged attack that happened last week? Very, very little. Okay. We know that a group of, we don't even know, this is what we've been told, that a group of Hamas terrorists flew over the Israeli border on motorized hang gliders. Now, for those that don't know the story with Israel, it's probably the most heavily defended piece of airspace on the planet, bar none. Bar none. Okay? And it was breached by men on motorized paragliders, and the physical, I think, was breached something like 25 to 30 times. They literally flew over the border and drove over the border with heavy weapons and murdered, you know, innocent people. Now, this is a border that Israeli senior military members have said that not even a jackrabbit could get within 300 yards of. It's that heavily defended with snipers, machine gun turrets, there's mines, that's it, hey, you know, so we've been told that that was breached dozens of times and people were killed. The Iron Dome system failed. The Iron Dome system is a missile defense system in Israel to protect against rockets being fired into the country. If you ever seen it in operation, it is very, very impressive. It fires small rockets at big rockets and neutralizes them in the air. It's a serious piece of defense to have. But that failed. The Israeli military failed, and now there's thousands of dead people on both sides. There's hundreds of dead Israelis, and now Israel has decided in retaliation that it will carpet bomb Gaza and Palestine. Calls have been made to turn Palestine into rubble, and for every single Palestinian refugee to be sent to Europe. Surprise, surprise! Why do they always come to Europe? Why don't they go to Africa? Or why don't they go to Saudi Arabia or Turkey? Why are they always coming towards Europe? Why do we have to deal with these people one more time? And that's why we've been showing up here for years. Actually, we've been coming out because we're speaking out about Irish borders being attacked, and that's exactly what's happening. Our borders are being attacked by the EU and the UN, and quite possibly Israel are using this crisis to send refugees in the direction of Europe and ultimately to Ireland. I just spoke to a man. He told me he's a carpenter, he's a Cork man, and he said that he's been sleeping on the streets for 5 months. Does not have a drug problem, but he cannot get a place to sleep. He says he goes to penny dinners for his breakfast in the morning, and he said all he meets lining up in penny dinners are imports, migrants, who go in for a few bites of food, and what they don't eat, they're throwing the rest into the bin. He says he's picking up his breakfast, what's left of it, and he's handing it to someone outside. If there's no more room in penny dinners, he's bagging it up and he's giving it to people on the street. You know? Cork says no, Ireland says no. Trinidad Ash era is always about protecting Ireland, protecting Irish people and the people who have made this country their home. What's left of it and protecting it for us, because this is our little bit of land, this is our little bit of space, you know? And every time we hear the likes of the US or Britain or Israel or Turkey amplify a war, it always ends up in refugees coming this direction. Why is it? Why is it they never amplify the Yemen war? Why is it they didn't amplify the war in Ukraine before Russia crossed the border? Because guess what? Their allies are involved in that. It's the Saudis are bombing the Yemenis. It was the Ukrainians that were murdering their own people in the 8 years prior to Russia crossing. But there was no refugees were being sent to Ireland then. Okay? So what I'm saying to people is, turn off your TVs. Stop listening to these morons. Stop listening to RTE. Stop listening to Neil Prendeville. You know, because every time they've got a sob story for you, it's you're the one that's going to pay for it. I don't stand with Israel. I don't stand with Ukraine. I don't stand with Palestine. I don't stand with Russia. I stand with Ireland. And that's what I'm here for.
We don't need profiteers. We need the prize from the pride to the stars for the benefit.
My name is Anisha Ward, for those of you that don't hear me, don't know me. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I know none of us want to be here or doing this. I don't see myself as an activist nor a patriot. I'm just a mother of 4 wonderful children. 4 wonderful children that I truly fear for, as I believe they have no futures in this beautiful country. Why, may you ask? Because international interests are being put before our own national values and morals. We see our Irish kids leaving Ireland not because they want to, but because they simply know that they will never afford a home of their own. Yet we watch more and more refugees, economic migrants and even illegal criminals without documentation entering Ireland, and all be given accommodation and resources that we could not give to our own sons, Irish sons and daughters. None of us would have to be here if those in government elected to represent us, done their jobs and served the people that they were employed to represent. We are their employers. Yes, that's correct. They serve us, not the other way around. But who exactly do they serve? Because they sure as hell do not represent the Irish people. They serve a wealthy international cabal who gets their orders from places such as the United Nations, the World Economic Forum and the European Union. Our politicians and journalists are like a merely globalist puppeteers for the globalist puppet masters. and they attack our weaknesses. Our kindness is one of our biggest weaknesses, and the international elites know this and they use it to weaken us, to manipulate our good nature. They use their propaganda machines such as television, radio and the newspapers. They push their narratives and stories that will make people very sad and very angry. They use your emotions to make you concerned about issues that they should not be of any of our concern, but concerned you are. They will offer solutions to help with your manufactured concerns, such as we take in more and more refugees or send all our money over to support these countries with aid. Spout how Ireland are morally obligated to protect other nations' people's human rights, while ignoring the human rights of Irish brothers and sisters who sleep on our streets, while ignoring real Irish citizens such as the Irish families struggling to keep their homes and feed their children with the cost of living thanks to the ludicrous green sustainability goals, and other concerns such as the Irish people who cannot access essential services like healthcare, special needs services for their children, dentist appointments and even school and creche places. Where's the concern? Where's the outrage? Why do Irish people care more about people in countries that they can't even spell or point out on a map? Because, put quite simply, all the nice men and women on the TV told them to care. Every channel, every newspaper and radio station spinning 24/7 repetition of gaslighting stories to keep your focus away from how much your government screws you over time and time again. They use your kindness, but they also use your fears. Fears of a killer virus mixed with some more gaslighting, like stay home, save lives. Fears of nuclear war, and my personal favourite, the fear of climate change. Fear is what keeps the majority from speaking. Fear of offending people, fear that they might lose their job, or fear of being labelled a far-right racist by those nice men and women on the TV and radio, who I may add are reading a script written and edited by people employed by the same group of wealthy internationalist parasites who pushes the Communist Agenda 21. Groupthink kicks in, and so does conformity. People conform with the major fear of being the minority, even when many of the majority agree with those who speak against the establishment. It's a scary transition to speak the truth when a majority believes the lie. Words like racist, far-right Nazi, conspiracy theorist, all great little labels that communists like Leon Trotsky created to silence any dissenters who spoke out against the communist revolution of the time. And they still use those words today. But I can guarantee you this, if you don't lose your fears now, such as your fear of speaking the truth, you will end up losing a lot more, such as your freedoms and quite possibly even your life. In a free and open society, you have all kinds of opinions allowed and ability to express those opinions without being silenced by government, journalists or even law itself. But you don't live in a free society, and the politics of the day now is total socialism in regards to being controlled by government from birth to death. The control and manipulation of emotions through propaganda and foreign wars is immense. First we had Ukraine and Russian war. Now we have Israel and Palestine. Why now, I ask? Simply to keep you all distracted from the fire and dictatorship that's spreading in our country. And that dictatorship isn't fascism or the rise of the far-right mammies and daddies. It is, however, communism. No longer called that, now it's labelled stakeholder capitalism by the World Economic Forum's leader Klaus Schwab, and is financed by the wealthy international cabal. That's why you see the NGOs fighting against us. They will be the local control and our voices within the new government system, because they are the local stakeholders. Do you trust NGOs to be your voice? No. He who controls the money supply of a nation controls the nation. People ask, are these wealthy international elites who finance and push the socialist agenda actually socialists? Absolutely not. You see, communism is not the creation of the masses to overthrow the banking system. Instead, it's the creation of the banking system to overthrow and enslave the masses. Instead, it is the As an Irish nationalist, my heart goes out to all the innocent victims created by the warmongers, whether the victims are Palestinians, Israelis, or even Ukrainians, or Russians, and not forgetting all the other victims of the countless unnecessary wars waged by the wealthy internationalists. My thoughts and prayers go out throughout all the innocent men, women and children whose lives are sadly lost, to which I ask you all, can we have a minute's silence to pay respect to all those victims? I thank you all for staying and listening to me. My belief as a nationalist is that all the nation's indigenous people should put the welfare of their country first and foremost, and whilst I sympathise with the horrors and atrocities of other countries, we cannot interfere with other nations' policies, because that is internationalism. I believe that charity begins at home. If all Irish people are looked after and comfortable, then maybe we can afford some generosity to help others, but only if we are in a position to do so. I'll ask a question. If you only had enough food to feed your own starving children, and a neighbour's child was starving too and wanted your children's food, I ask you, do you take your own child's food to feed it to strangers? No. Exactly. Now if you had more than enough to feed your children and your neighbours, well then you do so. But you don't starve your kids to feed others. That's the internationalist or socialist idea. As I say, charity begins at home, and that does not mean necessarily that it has to stop there, but only if you're in a position to do so. In Ireland, I believe we need to put the Irish first. Those who died for Éire's freedom did not die so we could be destroyed by the international idea of forced multiculturalism and diversity and the replacement of the Irish people and culture. Bringing in foreign dominant cultures in large groups such as Islam brings a new demographic, and it will destroy the Irish national culture. But know this, good will triumph over evil, of that I am certain. But it will do so when honourable people in large numbers are willing to sacrifice. You see, there's a direct relationship between our willingness to sacrifice and the power that these tyrants hold over us. If you love your children, if you love your country and its culture, please fight for them. It's time to fight back Ireland, Erin Gabra.